Hello, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Queen Talk podcast. And as always, as I truly do say at the beginning of every episode, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to come on here and just speak with the ladies about the things that just make me all bubbly on the inside and make me happy, which is really increasing our vibrational frequencies as women, as lights on this beautiful, beautiful earth, right? So today's episode is going to be super juicy. Like I can already tell, right? Like it's literally like a cup of water sitting at the brim, just bubbling, waiting to overflow with Nic and I. And so today, as I kind of just gave it away, or probably as you saw in the title, right? Today's episode, we are featuring a beautiful queen. Nic, your energy is just so calm and peaceful and tranquil, but yet you exude an energy of just strength and inner soul guidance. So I'm so honored that you have decided to share some of your beautiful words with me today and the women. So introduce yourself and let the ladies know a little bit about you before we jump right in.
Aloha, lovelies. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm probably a bit more calm today because it's quite early in the morning, but usually I'm a little bit fiery. So we'll see if that comes out in this podcast today. So I'm a soul-led business strategist consultant, and I work with my clients, the soulful entrepreneurs, the ones who do like a lot of healing work, a lot of work and service for others. I help them to create their businesses online and grow them to six figures in a way that feels really easy and fulfilling to them, because there are a million ways that you can do business online. Right. And there are so many ways that just don't fit you in particular. Right. And so I'm really teaching them about how to listen to themselves, which is how they ended up in their business, right? It didn't let them go. It said, you have to take this path. And in the same way, if we listen to our souls, it can tell us the way that we can do business that feels really fun for us. Yes. And so we don't feel like, oh, I have to do the business side of my business, right? All I want to do is heal and I have to do the business stuff. Right. It's like all of it gets to be fulfilling and fun, because that's what I personally believe our life can be. Yeah. It can be fulfilling and fun on every single level at every single thing that we do. Yeah. And we just need to listen deeply to where our soul is pulling us towards.
And you know, one thing that you started with that I noticed within what you just said, right, is the soul-driven entrepreneurs, right? And that's not something that's really talked about nowadays, right?
No.
People are kind of just, majority of people are operating from the perspective of like corporate or entrepreneur. So when they think about entrepreneurship, that already has such a stigma that many people don't correlate the fact that if you have these spiritual gifts, right, where you just find yourself helping people out, just giving them spiritual advice and just healing them all randomly, you can channel the same energy into becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people occupy the two different identities. And so that's where they feel their energy split, right? They are the spiritual coach or healer, or however they identify themselves with those gifts. And then they go into the identity of what you've just discussed about an entrepreneurial identity and what that means, you know, and most of that is in a masculine paradigm. So that is really about like, you know, get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, have a cold shower, go for a 20K run. And then we start our business and we don't stop till we're 9 o'clock at night, and we neglect our family and all of those things. So they split themselves thinking that in order for them to create success, they have to occupy this idea that we have of being an entrepreneur. You actually get to be the same essence in every single part of what you do.
Yeah. That right there is so powerful. And I believe that it ties into like a quick live I gave earlier today that talks about how you have to, if you really want to operate in a vibrational frequency where you see success, how you really have to have work-life business balance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the
absolutely
side, that spiritual side, needs that nurturing. Because then when that's nurtured, like you said, you can then begin to operate in fun ways of creating and running a business.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And like all of the clients I work with, we don't work on business. I brand myself as a business coach, but it is really holistic. So when they come into my containers, I'm like, what do you want in the rest of their life? And they're like, hang on, I'm here for business. And I'm like, no. We are creating a lifestyle for you. And what you learn through business, like your business is a reflection of how you operate in your life generally for people. Yeah. And so it's an insight to how you're dealing with relationships in your life. It's an insight of how you're dealing with abundance and calling in things that you would like and desire. So I'm like, all of it counts. So what else do you want?
And then that's when people got to get down to the nitty gritty. It's nitty.
The inside stuff, which can be like, ooh.
It's giving basement vibes, okay? It's giving, you gotta go down and really ask yourself, because it's from the principles, the inner principles and values that really, really, really allow you to follow your soul's desires.
100%. And we were just talking earlier before we pressed record on this, and I was saying how I have admin weeks and client weeks, and the admin weeks are there because I love adventuring. One of my values is the journey, is to adventure, right? And so when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I wasn't listening to that. I was like, oh, I've got to be this person who works all the time and like to make it happen. And as I grew, it just became more and more dissatisfying for me. Yeah. And I realized I've got to honor that part of me that loves the adventure, that loves nature, that loves seeking out new things. That's how I learn, is through experimenting and tasting the world. Yeah. And so now I've got it set up that way where I go and do that. I do all my content creation while I'm on the road. Not all the time, but, like I have that option. Yeah. So you have to listen to those deep inner values that have always been there. And when you create business, for some reason, people forget that whole thing that they wanted. They're just like, oh, it's like a deer in the headlights, and all of that goes out.
Right. And I think a big part is the awareness that we can create this life. I remember being in, I think it was like middle school or something like that. And we went to an entrepreneurial like school, something like they had set up in the city. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm not gonna be an entrepreneur. Like, I don't even know what I would sell, right? And now here I am right here, full-fledged entrepreneur. Right?
Yep.
And so now I think constantly in that mindset of only thing I did was decide to create a different lifestyle for me. That's all I did. And majority of times we are operating from what someone in our surrounding thinks our life should look like.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And so from the schoolwork to the bank accounts to the jobs to the, all of that turns into us forgetting really that the sound of that voice in our head that is always calling us to take ourselves higher, because it's always there, right?
Totally.
And
absolutely.
It wants to live in abundance. I think that's a big part. It wants us to live the abundant life.
Exactly. And when you say abundance, it's not just the finances, it's like fulfillment on every single level of your being.
Exactly. Yeah. When it starts off with gaining clarity of like, what do you want? Right? That's the first thing I ask my clients.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? And many people can't answer that question, right? Because they don't really know what it is that they want.
Yeah. And it's because, as you were talking about, it's because we've been conditioned to think in little boxes. So it's like we've grown up, we've gone through primary school, we've gone through the next thing, we've gone through college or university, then we go into the corporate job. We've got this timeline set out for us, which doesn't actually suit most people, right? And so we are constantly shutting down the voices, our inner voices, to fit within society. Yeah. And so we don't hear that anymore. Right. We stop hearing the soul tugs, the soul desires, the soul talking, speaking through us and asking us to live a life that is freaking fulfilling.
Right. It's the only way to kind of get fulfilled. It's almost like a itch on the inside of you that you can't scratch. Right. That's what it's like, because it's right there and it's calling for you. It's like that inner child. Like when we're children, we dream of all these things that we want to be, right? But then it's moving forward that the stumbling block comes, and we start to limit and limit and limit and limit. We really are limitless.
Yep. Preaching to the converted. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are limitless. Yeah.
We are limitless. So let's have a chat about some easy and expansive ways, right, that one can start to act on operating from the soul in reference to starting their business, or even if they already have their business.
Yeah. So one of the easy ways that I talk to my clients about is really about, most of them are established, but there are some newbies in there too. But it's all about getting quiet and listening to what you really want. Now, it was really funny when you were like, when I asked you were saying, when you ask your clients and you say, what do you really want? They're like, I don't know, because they've been living in the silo, right? And so every step has been conditioned for them to take. And so we need to like break those patterns. So a lot of the times I'm like, what do you enjoy? And if you don't know what you enjoy, like this is in life, what do you enjoy? If you don't know what you enjoy, go and try a bunch of things.
Right.
Like just go and experience, right? And that is from my personal experience as a experiential learner.
Right.
And I'm like, if you don't know, just go and try all these things, try the different food, try the different exercise regimes, try the different ways of doing things, and just really listen to when you go a full body yes, like you're like, that was delicious. Like,
yeah. And you know what I think is even powerful with that? I bet as someone takes that action step, they'll find that maybe the subconscious throws the first thought of, I don't like it. But it's the pause after that and be like, so then tell me, why don't you like it? Right? Like ask yourself, because then right there, you're asking yourself that question, that mirror face-to-face question, and then you'll probably find, I really actually do like it.
Yeah. And totally, we talk about, it's like you'll have the voice of fear that is usually the voice of your mom, your father, your friends, your peers, society going, oh, that sounds stupid, don't do that. Or you're going to embarrass yourself, blah, 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 right? So don't listen to that part. Just listen to the part that goes, I'd like to give that a go, right? And handle it, like Breye'l was saying, like handle that voice or ignore it completely and just jump in and give it a go. You know, like, and then you're going to figure out what you truly like and what you truly don't like.
Right.
Based on how you are experiencing it, not on the thoughts that are in your head and preconceptions of what you have about that thing.
Right. Right.
And that's in life and business. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to try it.
You really have to try it.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. It's like we go out and experience if you don't know. And if you have an inkling of what you know, it's like, I'm always asking my clients to get quiet, like quiet enough to hear. Okay. So then when you were talking about the ego dropping in, or that's what I call the ego, that voice that just goes, puts in a judgment or puts in a fear or puts in some kind of thought that stops you from doing the thing. We need to have techniques that allow us to know that that is not us.
Right.
Acknowledge that that is not truly who we are, because who we truly are is the limitless essence of us, or the soul, right? And so most people have to get quiet enough to be able to hear the two voices. Yeah. And usually when you first start, you will hear the voice of the ego strong. It will be taking over everything. And it will just be like, pow, 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 pow. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is intense. And that is such a great place to be, because you realize that you have these thoughts that aren't serving you any longer, and they just continue, right? And when you can sit there and go, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I hear you. Carry on. What else have you got to say? It empties out.
Yes. Yes.
When you get to that place, then you can hear the subtle voice that has always been there, that
I
has been
know.
going, you should be doing this thing.
Mhm.
And it comes up and it gets louder and louder and louder and comes to the forefront.
Right.
And that is the one that you should follow. Yeah. And then as you follow that, as we talked about before, your ego will drop in and go, it's not safe. You shouldn't do that. You blah, blah, blah. Thank you. You've had your time for now.
Yeah.
We're just going to try this new way, because you know what? The current way that I'm doing kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
My business isn't growing, or my life isn't fulfilling, or whatever the thing is, it's stuck. And I have followed you for so long, it's not working anymore.
Right.
Can we just try this?
Yeah. Yeah. And going right into that, which is the second thing that we said that we were going to talk about today, which is making me excited all over again, is the reality that following your soul's desires is unique to every. It really blows my mind, right? To think that there are like over 7.9 billion. I actually looked up the world's population the other day, right?
Whoa.
Over 7.9 billion people on the face of the earth. And let's be honest, many of us don't have a twin. And even the twins are not the exact same person. This unique energy, this God energy that's out there has created almost 8 billion different people, right? We have to channel that same reality to our business and recognize that you're creating what you want when you become an entrepreneur, right? Like when you follow your soul's path, like your soul's desires, you move from a space of scarcity to a space of creation. Right? And
absolutely.
Make it uniquely unique to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. Like, I just love how you just said that about like the reality is, this is the reality. We have 8 billion unique people. So we need to infuse that reality into every single part of our life.
Yeah.
There is a reality that has been created before us. Yeah. And we need to fulfill that same reality. Of course, like when you put it that way, of course we have to. Why would I do business the same way as you, or do business as the same way as every other woman we're listening to the podcast right now? Why would you do it the same way as anyone else? Because I am unique. You are unique. Everyone is unique, right? Yeah. And so, as we talked about at the start, like there are so many ways you could do business. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck, is they think that they need to they follow a mentor who tells them something cookie cutter. Right. So it's like, do it this way because it's worked for me. That's brilliant for them. It's not necessarily going to work for you. Right. And so you have to learn how to listen to your soul that says yes and that says no.
Right.
Yeah. And that says, try this something really wild that no one else has done before.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like some of that, there will be amongst you people who pave the way. There will be amongst you those leaders and thought changers in this crowd right now, right? Because you're here listening. And you especially need to listen to those ones, because you're going to be changing the way that business is done.
Yeah.
And it will never have been done that way before. And so it's going to sound so freaking crazy to people. And you're never going to have seen it anywhere else before. And you're going to be going, should I trust this? Because I'm the only one doing it. Yes, you should do it. Because it's going to be the best way. It's going to open up whole new avenues for other people who work like you, but not in the same way, but similar to you, to do what you have created, right?
Right. And isn't that so freeing, right? To operate from the mindset of that, I'm going to create queenhood in a way that nobody else has created something like this before, right? And then I'm going to operate in the mindset of knowing that because I've seen other people succeed, I can and will succeed myself, right? Because I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to recognize that same but other voice in my head, that when I know I see a solid plan in front of me, when I know I see someone that can help me, someone that can guide me, because I recognize I don't have to do this alone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I will follow that plan when it gets to me. I won't listen to that little voice that says, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. Do we really have the money to invest?
that one. And we've all been there, right? And we're laughing because we've been in the same position where we haven't listened to the soul tugs. We've seen someone who's like lit us up and we've gone, that woman or that person is just like so on our level. Oh, but the money. Yeah. Oh, and so the soul tug gets buried underneath the logic, and it's like, oh no, don't listen to that because of, it's going to cause you to go into debt or whatever the story is, right?
Yeah.
I personally know that when I have followed the soul tugs, even if it sounded so ridiculous and so scary, and I've invested in coaches who have lit me up, and I thought, how is this going to work? It has always worked out. It has always, not even always, it has, like, my latest investment with a coach tripled itself in 3 months.
Come on.
Right. And it was a very deep dive for me. I was like, my logic was like, why? What?
Yeah, exactly. Get that number from.
Exactly. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Right. But my soul was like, when I got quiet, and this is the quiet that I had to sit there, I had to listen to this barrage of ideas of telling me not why it was a bad idea. And I had to deeply listen. And in my heart, it was like, this is a full-blown yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. I just let go. Let's freaking do this. I'm diving in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when you feel fulfilled, right? That's when our soul's desires are on the opposite side of our comfortability.
Oh, yes. Yep.
It is so easy. I mean, I'm going to say, over here in America, they make it so easy to be so comfortable. Okay? We forget that there are people who wish that they were in our position. And I think that right there is just another topic to just jump on really quick. I know that you can relate and agree that even in the midst of when you were frustrated and tired in the business, you kind of had to come back to that reality that you used to pray to get in this same moment that you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we always want to be right there. And then when we get right there, we want to be right the other there. We hope to be the first right
there. Yeah, there's a huge balance between, like, appreciating where you are, like being in the now. And then also allowing your desires, which is natural for us, to bubble up and lead us further on our path, right? Because I believe we are meant for fulfilling our potential. We're meant to expand, and we do, but we stunt that so much with following other people's paths.
Yes.
Yeah. And if this is the whole idea of getting out of your own way. That's what I think it is. The way of getting out of your own way is to not listen to other people's things and start listening to yourself.
Yes. My husband recorded a podcast episode yesterday entitled "Elevation Requires Separation." Right? It's the truth, and the reality that we must live by. It's so many voices going on. It's so many tones and vibrational frequencies just everywhere. And a lot of, even like the scroll on social media and stuff, a lot of people don't even understand that there's an algorithm behind that. Meant to just capture your brain cells even more, right? So in a time where you kind of got to be extremely intentional on pulling your energy back and reclaiming your power, it's the way, right? Like, it's the way to hear the soul speaking.
Exactly. Yeah, you're so right, because our attention is pulled, as you said, intentionally outwards. We need to do exactly the same, reverse, intentionally ask it to be here.
Right.
Turn up on tools like social media, especially with intention, so that we're not just like caught in the matrix and with our energy flushed out.
Right.
Yeah, because then I always talk about, if your energy is somewhere else, then you're going to feel anxiety or stress or overwhelm or tired or just not motivated, all of those things.
Right.
And it's because you've got energy leaks out. So what do you think happens when you try to call that energy in to manifest what you want? Not a lot.
It's not going to answer the phone, Nick. It's not,
because it's everywhere. It's just everywhere.
Right.
And it's like first you're asking me to go over here and here, and now suddenly you want me to do this, like manifest this dream life. It's got like this much energy to give. So you've got to call it back in. You've got to give it some structure, and you've got to give it intentionality and bring it all in so that it can flow with potential, like potency towards what it is that you really want for your life. And what you really want for your life has to come from here, not from what everyone else says.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Tell them about the power of the why. Knowing the why. Why should they bring all that energy back in? Because let's be honest really quick, right? It's kind of fun to be able to say like, right, I'm a mess. People just so loosely like, how you doing? Ugh. You just like, it's the thing now, right? To just be in despair and anxiety, and not to make a joke about anybody being in that, but we're just on the Queen Talk podcast, we just keep it as real as possible.
Yeah, fully.
So it's easy to be in a state of disgust. So why is the why so important?
Yeah, I think for me, and I can't speak for everyone else, but for my why, it just will not leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been here since I was little, right? And I believe the reason I'm here on this earth is to create more peace and harmony. I don't do it perfectly. Of course not. I'm a human, right? But through my business, and this is what I believe, it's like, if I can teach everyone else to follow their soul's tugs, then everyone's going to be more satisfied and more loving in their life, because there is usually when we're not loving towards someone, it's because something else is going on in us and we don't feel happy with our lives. Mm-hmm. So if we can help people through that way, their ripple effects will happen, and that will create more peace and harmony with all of the relationships that they have in their life. Right. So through that is what I am here to do. And it's so important to me, because when I have the wobbles, which is often, you know, there'll be times when I'm like, oh, I'd rather be outside. I'd rather be outside. Yeah, I want to be, you know, in the bush, and I don't want to be in front of my computer anymore. Like the child in the worst way comes in and is like, throws a tantrum. Right. When I have weeks like that, I pull myself back to my why. And I'm like, why are you creating this for yourself, Nick? Right. Like, what is the big soul's mission here? And I'm like, it's to create this. How important is that to me? Well, apparently it's really important, because I've been doing it my whole life, right, in little micro ways, little ways. And it's still here, and it's still knocking on my door going, you need to do this, right? And I know that if I don't do that, I will not be fulfilled when I am on my deathbed. And we're getting a bit morbid, right? But when I'm on my deathbed, there will be regret. Right. There will be a regret. There will be like I wish I had just focused more on creating that, because I know that that's why I was here. Right. So it's important for my soul. It's important for my ego even. And it's also important for those little things like motivation. To turn up every single day and to do some of the stuff that you do not like particularly, like it's not your preference, but it's part of the business, right? Yes. And it's really the price that we have to pay, right? Like when you think about it, some people don't even really have the courage to follow the soul's call, right? So it's like, even if you have a speck of courage, like 1% more courage than you had yesterday, right? You gotta utilize that. Like you gotta bring that from like the depths of your soul, and like you said, fight that inner child and recognize like, all right, baby girl, well, we don't live in mama's house anymore. And we're women. Some of us have kids. Some of us have husbands. You know, some of us are in a space where we just gotta make it work. And when you know you gotta make it work, following your soul's purpose makes it so much easier. We're not saying that it will be all easy. No. Right? But wouldn't you rather cry, right? Like, wouldn't you rather cry knowing that you're in your purpose than to be crying working at a job that you hate without even the idea of your purpose? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Choose which crying situation you want.
You're going to cry.
It's not gonna, like, when we talk, I want to make this clear to your people as well. It's like, when we talk about easy, it's not that it is actually easy the whole way. It's more that it's easeful. Yes. And it's the most satisfying, fulfilling thing that you can do. Okay. Yeah. So it's not always going to be easy. It's not like roses everywhere and you're like, oh, I'm just creating this $1 million business and it just happens, right? It's not that. Right. I like how you said we're going to keep it real, because that is the reality. It is not that.
Yeah.
But it can be easier and it can be more fulfilling.
Yes. And it can be, like, literally, hear what she just said. It can be, meaning that it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have the opportunity every day to follow your soul's calling and just say, hey, I didn't know what I was doing yesterday. Right? Like, I've been unhappy for the past 27 years, 7 months, 13 days, and 6 hours and 2 seconds. Maybe you're that unhappy. You can make the decision instantly to say, right now I'm choosing something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Fully. Mm-hmm.
Like, you can truly make that decision. And I remember, like, we were talking about with your story, or like with your live that you put on your page, the power of focusing on the macro, right? That overall aspect of it, and not allowing the micro to overwhelm us. So let the ladies know your perspective on that.
Yeah. So I was talking about on my live about how people always go, how do I do this thing? I don't know how to do the strategy. I don't know how to grow my audience. I don't know how to get my niche, or whatever the question is, right? And usually the problem is that they're stuck in looking at all the details. Now, if you're stuck in looking at all the details, especially if we talk about strategy, I'll just bring it into that vein of speaking. If you're stuck with that, there are, as I said before, millions of ways you can do that, right? So if you're looking at growing your audience and you're like, oh, I'm going to use, which platform am I going to use? That's one thing. What should I use on those platforms? Yeah. So you've got all these things and you are slowly going down the rabbit hole. That is what's happening. Like, your vision is this big. You're looking at the micro. This is when overwhelm happens, because you can't actually see, what is the thing? You can't see the wood for the trees, right? So you're just like stuck in here and you're like, can't see a path out. And so that's when you're getting confused. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you just for a moment took a breath and you pulled out and you went top down and you expanded and you went, why am I here doing the thing? Right. Okay, so back to the why. Why am I here doing the thing? What is the dream, the big dream that I have of what I want to create? Yeah. So the lifestyle I want, the type of business, how I want to be working, all of the big dream. Like, pull yourself back, see the big vision. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you can make a decision, because then it's clear, well, if I want to get here, if I want this big vision to be created, what has to happen? Right. Get back into creation mode, right? Back into creation mode. We really never even left creation mode, because like you said, when you bring out that macro, it's the vision, right? And it's blatantly amazing and just super, again, mind-blowing how, back to the uniqueness, we all have a unique vision. You do not want to live the exact same way I want to live. Even if we have so much things that's similar and in common, like, you want to beach house, I want to beach house. You want to travel, I want to travel. You want to garden, I want to garden. We still want to live so differently, but it's about connecting the desire and creating the vision for, like you said, to then be able to gain more clarity on what those micro goals may look like. And even when we get right there, it's still about sitting and hearing the plan, because, like you said, it's not going to be easy, but it is going to be easeful. And that energy that has also planted the desire within us also has the way to do it. Yeah, in a way that absolutely. Yeah, it's not just like some weird, like, horrible person who comes and goes, oh, here's the thing that you should decide. Oh, but I'm not going to give it to you. It's not that. It's not sadistic at all. At all. beautiful. It's like very loving. Yeah, you have a desire and the answer is there about how you can fulfill it. It's everything is within you. So, I mean, even though I say that I'm a business coach on this thing,
right.
It's not that I'm not actually teaching you what to do necessarily.
Right.
It is about the first and foremost, it's about allowing you, guiding you back to listening to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it's about. That's
what it's about.
Yes.
That's what it should always be about, actually. For like personally, if I'm going to be real, when I look for a coach now, I never look for someone who tries to box me in. Yeah. I'm always asking for a coach who can see me, who invites me into deeper inquiry so that I can find the answers that fit for me.
Yeah.
And can hold me in that energy where I'm not screwing around and I'm not listening to the ego anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a special type of coach, because there's often a lot of coaches out there who will mollycoddle you and go, oh, it's okay. It's all right. Just do it. Listen to that. And they're trying to be nice. It's actually not nice. It's not nice. It's not kind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For me personally, I want expansion. And maybe that's also, I'm sure the ones who are listening, especially on this one, want expansion. And the way to expansion is to be at the edge, as Breye'l was saying before. It's not in the comfort, it's at the edge. And so you need someone who is prepared to take you to the edge, who you might not like all the time, right? I know that my clients don't like me all the time. And I say that to them. By the end of this year, there will be at least 1 or 2 times that you're like, you, Nicola, I don't like you, because they have been triggered and because I have said, you need to go here. This is not the soul speaking. This is your ego trying to keep you small.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I invite you, if this is something you really want to create, you really want to create your soul's mission on earth through your business, you need to look for that coach who lovingly holds you in your limitlessness and will not put up with you playing small.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That right there is so, because it's the power of the mastermind.
Yeah.
It's the power. The mind is so, as we bring our beautiful talk to an almost end, how funny. The mind is such a beautiful garden. It is the most expansive, right, garden. The mind is where imagination lies. And as we learn to tap back into our imagination, we truly just see ourselves as just light, whimsical beings, right? Able to release those thoughts that may be holding us down and truly soar free and use like our superpowers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To call in our people to us and recognizing that sometimes the people around us may not be who goes along forward with us on our path, but like you and I met, the connection has been beautiful since we met each other, right?
Yeah.
It's what I wanted. It's what I directly remember calling in earlier this year, that I wanted to connect with more people and expand my social circle of women who are truly living in their purpose and excited about being on a high vibrational frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we keep talking about, you have a choice here of who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And when you are clear with that and you are vibrating with only this, I'm not putting up with less, because I am a queen. I get what I want, right? And I'm not going to put up with any of the low vibrational or people who no longer support my expansiveness anymore.
Right.
Then you call in your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same of whether it's support people or whether it's your clients, you call those people to you. There's less work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm always saying to my clients, I'm like, most of the work, if we call it work, is in the energy, 80% energy, 20% strategy, or the doing.
Yeah, literally 80% energy for sure, from from mindsets to motives to intentions to values. These are not things that they have on sale at Walmart. You can't get these things on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That's energy work, right? The person who we must become, the personal development aspect is really what it takes to build the business. That's what it is. And when you have your personal values and development in alignment, you can see the way you want to create your business in such a fun and unique way.
Exactly.
This has been amazing. I'm super excited that we connected again because you just make me want to be more soul-led even the more. Like, I'm going to be sitting and being quiet later on today. Like, this is what
good. My job is done.
That's right. That is great. So
beautiful. Love it.
Yes. Tell the ladies, like, where it is that they can find you. Of course, we're going to put the links, down below and everything like that. But let the ladies know where you hang out the most and like what up and coming workshops that you have going on or like your coaching programs. Let them know.
So 2 places you can find me. One is on Instagram at Conscious Biz Coach, and I'm on there creating reels and quick tips and things like that. But if you want more of an intimate vibe with me, then join my Facebook group, which we'll put the link in. Nice. And in there, the Soul-Led Business Revolution, I go live every Thursday on a topic about these things. Yeah, like how to really tap into your soul. So that is where you can get more time with me. It's in there, and there are like my library of resources for free in there is crazy because I am a prolific creator. So you can go in there, and I think there's up to maybe 50, maybe nearly it's getting into 80 videos for free to how to grow your business energetically, strategically, into a 6-figure business that feels fun. So hop into that group if you're keen for that. And at the moment, the big thing that I'm working with my people is the journey, which is my 12-month signature program. It is a deep dive, so it's not for the faint-hearted. It's like, whoa, and immediately people slide off, which is totally cool. But if you're interested in that includes some VIP coaching with me and some powerful group coaching. So that's what I'm hopping into straight after this with my women. And all of those people in there, all of the women in there, about following their soul's mission. Like they are the ones who have finally listened to what their soul is saying. And they're like, there's no more screwing around. I don't want to waste my time anymore. I am here to create a business that thrives, not only for me, but for my people and for the world.
Yes.
So if that interests you, you can get in contact with me. I'll pop my email address below and we can have a chat.
Perfect. Yes. Ladies, I'm telling you, listen to what she is saying, whether it's right now on, April the 18th, 2022, or whether somebody's listening to this video 5 years later, 7 years later, the energy is evergreen to listen to your soul's calling and live out your life empowered and inspired and just next level out of the box living, because we deserve that. We will earn it. We will call it in, and the abundant life is truly ours. So again, thank you so much for jumping on here with me. It has been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everyone listening. I can't wait to see what comments come up with you.
Yes. So exciting. So until next time, ladies, be sure to share this podcast episode with a friend. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're catching it on YouTube, and comment below what was your favorite part, right, about recognizing or awakening to your soul's journey. I love you, ladies, and I'll see you in the next episode. Toodles.